Donald Trump held an event in the Oval Office yesterday to announce the Golden Dome defense system. This is going to be a defense system that can shoot missiles down no matter where they come from. They might come from the other side of the planet. They might come from space. Here is Trump struggling to explain what this is, why we're doing it. Do you want your taxpayer dollars going to this?
Thank you for being here in the Oval Office, one of the great places of the world, as we make a historic announcement about the Golden Dome missile defense shield. That's something we want. And Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, but they didn't have the technology. But it's something we're going to have. We're going to have it at the highest level. I want to thank Secretary Hegseth, who's been fantastic, and Secretary Rubio, and Space Force Vice Chief of Space Operations, General Mike Gutlein. I also want to recognize Senators Dan Sullivan, Kevin Cramer, and Jim Banks, fantastic senators, great talents, great political talents, and people that love our country. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years.
You know, if I were a betting man, and I'm not, I would say that this is not done by the end of Donald Trump's first term. Now, aside from the impossible promises on the timing, you know, we've got homeless veterans in this country. We've got hungry kids. And this is not we can only do one thing at a time. But the common sense of such a defense system, you know, it's often analogized to Israel's Iron Dome. Israel is a country the size of New Jersey, surrounded by hostile countries. And whatever you think about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the geographical situation is completely different. The United States, with Canada to the north, Mexico to the south, the Atlantic Ocean to the east, and the Pacific Ocean to the west, it's just a completely different environment. And sure, you can say, well, if the missiles came from space, but this makes no sense whatsoever at this point in time. Not something I want my tax dollars going to, that I can tell you. This entire event was a fiasco. Trump was asked a great question. Did the military commanders ask for this? I'm sorry, before we even get to that, what about the cost of this thing? Isn't this just really expensive? And Trump goes, no, I just got $5 trillion in the Middle East, so we can afford it.
When you first announced this idea, critics said it would be prohibitively expensive, potentially ineffective, and could trigger an arms race in space. What do you say to those critics about that?
Well, they're wrong. It's about as close to perfect as you can have in terms of real production. I told you Canada wants to be a part of it, which be, you know, fairly small expansion. But we'll work with them on pricing. We'll be dealing with them on pricing. They know about it very much. They've asked to be a part of it, actually. They've asked us to be a part of it. I think it's something that is great. If you can afford to do it, we can afford to do it. You know, we took in $5.1 trillion in the last 4 days in the Middle East.
And of course, this is a lie. We did not take in any money in the Middle East. What Trump is referring to and what's being exaggerated and molded and pounded and stretched into a claim Trump can make, what we have are completely informal sort of ideas that the countries Trump visited might, over the next decade, make certain investments in joint ventures with the United States. So what happens is Saudi Arabia goes, yeah, you know, maybe we'd be in for $600 billion over the next 10 years if you bring us a proposal and something actionable. And Trump goes, they just gave us $600 billion. Of course, they didn't. Oh, they might do $1.2 trillion. Yes, if you put together the proposals and get approval And then that would be over a 10 or longer year period. So this entire "we got 5 trillion" thing is a complete and total farcical lie. Next relevant question. Is this even something that the generals asked for? Did military commanders say, let's do this Golden Dome defense system? Trump goes, well, I kind of suggested it, and they did say it sounds pretty good.
Very protective. I think you can rest assured there'll be nothing like this. Nobody else is capable of building it either.
Was it something that military commanders asked you for? Did they ask you to do this?
Well, let me put it differently. I suggested it, and they all said, we love the idea, sir. That's the way it's got to be.
They didn't exactly come to me and say, this is something we want, need, or anything like that. But when I said it to them, what if we do a Golden Dome like Israel's Iron Dome? They said, yeah, sure, sounds good, we'll take it. Because as we know, military commanders working under a president regularly turn down stuff that the president is offering. Trump then got sort of disoriented and again started mumbling and jumbling. And he seems to think that the copy of the Declaration of Independence that he put in the Oval Office is real, which is really wild.
The USA, by the way, very importantly. So it's something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I just noticed you too, Jim, you're standing there, and behind you is a very important document, Declaration of Independence.
Right.
And that was in the vault for many decades right under this area. They have vaults with pictures on top. You have Abraham Lincoln. You see that was the original Abraham Lincoln, the original Washington. And does everybody know who the middle was? General Grant. And so it's very exciting. You look over here and above Ronald Reagan.
Anyway, I still don't know if Trump is only pretending to believe that that's the original Declaration of Independence or whether he knows that it's not and he's just kind of lying to everybody. All right. We then get to questions about the Russian buildup of troops on the border with Finland and Norway. Trump asked, are you worried about that? He goes, no, just not worried.
Mr. President, on Russia, are you worried about the reports on a military buildup along the borders towards Finland and Norway?
No, I don't worry about that at all. They're going to be very safe. Those are two countries that are going to be very safe.
And Mr. President, on Russia...
He's just not worried, folks. We don't have to worry about it. Everything's completely fine there. And then finally, Trump turns it over to Pete Hegseth and says, Pete, play us out here. And Pete Hegseth just groveling. The number of grown men groveling around this man, Trump, is wild.
To talk about this, how about you closing it out?
Yes, sir. I mean, like I said, without your vision, willing to say and do things when other people wanted to look away and pretend like the threat didn't exist, or be focused on foreign adventurism, some other threat that we've been told is affecting us. When you looked at the data, sir, from the Russia to the Communist Chinese and their capabilities, what they're trying to do to supersede us and threaten us, how do we find the best innovators, the best military leaders, the best companies, tech companies? You mentioned open architecture. That's exactly right.
Thank you, sir.
So multiple companies can pour into this, sir. It's a layered defense. So if you miss at one, you catch at the next. And it integrates existing technologies that can speak to each other. So it moves quickly while also investing in further ranging space-based interceptors. So our enemies, our adversaries are going to pay a lot of attention to this, just like they have to President Trump from day one. Sir, you're defending the homeland, defending the American people. It's going to benefit my kids, grandkids, all of ours in this room. So thank you for your leadership. We're in charge of this.
Thank you so much for your leadership. You know, groveling aside for a moment, I mean, just pathetic groveling from Pete Hegseth. The idea that what Trump does is looks at data in detail, speaks to experts, and makes nuanced, thoughtful, complex decisions. He's never once done that the entire time that he's been president. And we're now supposed to believe, thanks to the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in history, that that's how Trump is deciding what to do. Humiliating and pathetic, and all over a Golden Dome system that simply will not be built while Trump is president. That was his promise. Let's hold him to it. Does anybody in my audience believe we're going to see that in the next 3 2/3 years? Guys in my audience, I know you're tired of the chafing with traditional underwear. Our sponsor, Sheath, makes the most comfortable boxer briefs I've ever worn. If you're sick of the boxers that are too loose or the briefs that are too tight, Sheath is for you. Sheath underwear, is designed with two special pouches in the front. Keeps everything separate in its own compartment with extra confidence that you will feel throughout the day, keeping things separate and comfortable, no more sticking and chafing. I was skeptical about the dual pouch, I admit it, but it is game changing. Everything stays where it is supposed to be, extra useful when working out at the gym. And even if you don't want to use the pouches, you don't have to. It is still the most comfortable pair of underwear I have ever owned. It will blow your mind how soft and stretchy these are, made with moisture wicking technology to keep you dry. If you were ready to take underwear comfort to a new place, a place you didn't even know it could go, head over to sheathunderwear.com/Pacman and get 20% off with the code Pacman. The link is in the description.